Muito bem. Estamos chegando.
Chegamos depois de uma longa caminhada.
Finalmente.
Nós fomos dar a volta.
Ah, é?
Mas foi vídeo. Hoje o Pedrinho acho que tá desencostado, que eu tô com a roupa de preto velho.
Vermelho é a cor do sangue do meu pai, o verde representa as matas. Vermelho é a cor do sangue do meu pai, o verde representa.
Umbanda is a mixed or syncretic religion that combines aspects of the beliefs and ritual practices brought by the slaves from Africa with the popular Catholicism of their Portuguese masters, shamanic practices of the Brazilian Indians, spiritism from 19th century Europe, and an assortment of other beliefs and practices taken from different parts of the world. Its diverse elements were integrated in the late 1920s in Rio de Janeiro, from where it has spread throughout Brazil and recently overseas.
The ceremony you will see was not staged. It took place in 1987 in a suburb some 50 kilometers from Rio de Janeiro. Parque São Vicente is in the flat lowlands to the north of Guanabara Bay. This is the Casa de Vovô Rita, de Angola e Aruanda, the Umbanda center where the initiation took place. Here are some of the people you will meet in this video. José Carlos, the star. Dona Maria, the Orixás, or Mãe de Santo, the saint mother and ritual head of the Casa de Vovô Rita de Angola e Aruanda. Dona Maria is the leading lady. Other featured participants are Dona Edna, the Mãe Pequena, or Little Mother, who is second to Dona Maria in the ritual hierarchy, and Dona Janete, the Mãe Criadeira, or nurturing mother of the center. The Ogans, who play the drums, are key figures. As is Maria da Conceição Ribeiro, José Carlos' biological mother. Other celebrants include Manuel, Dona Maria's brother, the many, many other filhos e filhas de santo, the saint sons and daughters, or adepts at the center, and distinguished visitors, such as the heads of other Umbanda centers invited by Dona Maria.
Este é Iemanjá
Xangô
e Xangô.
Included also are Professor Greenfield and his wife Eleanor, who are José Carlos' godparents. If not for this intimate and long-standing relationship and their warm friendship with Dona Maria, this videotape presentation could not have been made. In addition to the human players, you will also meet some of José Carlos' spirits, the supernaturals who appear through him in this religion based on spirit possession. There is Shango, or Saint Jerome, for example, the Orixás saint who is the father of his head, or primary spirit guide. There is Ogun, or Saint George, the warrior god. You will meet Giramundo, one of José Carlos' caboclos, or native Indian spirit guides. Trancahua, one of his Exus, the spirit of one of the many colorful characters in Brazilian history. And Pedrinho, his criança, or child spirit. You will also meet some of the supernaturals received by Dona Maria. Vovó Rita, for example, the Preta Velha, or spirit of a wise old slave after whom the center is named. And by Dona Edna, La Niña da Praia, her criança, or child spirit.
José Carlos is a young man in his early 20s who, like so many of the residents of working class and slum neighborhoods in Brazilian cities, is the child of a migrant from the interior. His mother had moved to Rio de Janeiro in the mid-1960s from a small town in the state of Minas Gerais, hoping for a better life. When the only employment she could find was as a sleep-in maid, she was forced to give her infant son to friends to raise.
A minha infância tem muitas coisas boas, coisas positivas.
My childhood had a lot of good things in it, positive things, but bad things also. At the age of 6 months, I was given by my mother to a second family. I was raised by them, educated there, and my sentiments and human warmth I got there. As an adolescent, I learned that they were not my real family, and Dona Inês was not my real mother. You know how it is. You feel upset, knowing that your real mother went away and found another life, leaving you to be raised by someone else. It is a bit of a shock, but knowing that you were well, accepted, and loved, that's what is really important.
Lá onde eu estive, muito carinho, muito afeto, muito amor. Pois criado na católica, não tinha esse.
I was raised in the Catholic Church and had no contact with the Spiritist side of things. But as time went on, I would go to the Spiritist centers to get candy on Saints Cosme and Damian's Day. I went to get candy, but when the other things started, I'd run away. Then one beautiful Sunday afternoon years later, I heard on the radio mention of the Casa de Vovó Rita in Parque São Vicente, and I wrote down the address. Since I had relatives who lived near there, I thought that one day I might go there and look for the center. Then my aunt, who lived near Parque São Vicente, mentioned that a neighbor told her that there was a center there with a really good tarot card reader. On the 3rd day of January, the first Monday of 1982, I went to Parque São Vicente and found the center. The cards were read for me and the buzios, the divining shells, were thrown for me and consulted. I felt an immediate affinity with the Orixás Dona Maria, the head of the center, who invited me to come to the ceremony in honor of Oxóssi, or Saint Sebastian. I was very happy to be invited, and on January 22nd, the day of the celebration, I came with some family members. I liked the place and the ceremony. I felt positive vibrations. Many people were friendly to me, and I began to come regularly. The second ceremony I attended at the center was on Holy Saturday. I came to that one, and here I am.
When asked how he felt when he first met Dona Maria, José Carlos continued.
Acontecimento.
From the first time that I met Dona Maria, she transmitted good feelings to me, something very pure. I think that my acceptance of her and her faith and feelings were put there by the Orixás, the saints. They were very strong feelings, and they affected me a lot. It is good to go to a new place and meet a person who treats you as though you had known each other and trusted each other for a long time, even though you had never met before. To be welcomed so warmly. It was this welcome by Dona Maria and the support she gave me that impressed me so when I first began to frequent the center. To find a person so caring and humble, so wonderful and supportive, she is always there when we need her, in the difficult times and in the happy times in our lives. It is an incredible feeling for me to have found a person who has given me so much help and support and guidance. The first time I met Dona Maria, I felt that the doors had opened for me.
Umbanda, as we have seen, is a religion based on spirit possession. A variety of supernatural beings are believed to come from the other world and incorporate in and take over the bodies of special devotees, mediums dedicated to their worship and care. A favorite metaphor is that of horseback riding. The spirit beings are said to mount their mediums, who are referred to as their horses. Umbandistas, as the followers of the religion are called, believe in a supreme God. Below this all-powerful creator in their hierarchically ordered pantheon are several categories of lesser supernaturals. The highest and most revered of these are the Orixás, or saints, composites of specific Roman Catholic saints and West African deities whose fusion goes back to the days of slavery. Below the Orixás saints are 4 additional categories of spirits unique to Umbanda, representing stereotyped personages from Brazilian history believed to have contributed to the making of the present-day society. These are the Pretos Velhos, spirits of wise old former slaves who represent the African contribution, the Caboclos, spirits of resistant and independent Amerindians who represent the Indian contribution, the Exus, spirits of the many colorful characters such as rogues, vagabonds, drifters, gypsies, prostitutes, and others who represent the Lisso-Brazilian contribution, and the crianças, or children, who represent the future of a culturally and biologically unified society. When the Orixás saints come down, they interact only with adepts in closed private ceremonies. The Pretos Velhos, Caboclos, Exus, and Crianças, in contrast, also interact with the general public in performing the social mission of the new religion, caridade, charity in Portuguese, helping the living with the problems of their daily life. Human misfortune is believed to be caused by, and therefore only can be ameliorated by, supernatural forces. God is seen as the prime cause of all events, including human misfortune. The supernaturals who come to earth in Umbanda's public sessions bring with them supernatural help for the resolution of human illness, poverty, domestic unhappiness, and other misfortunes. For them to be able to perform this charity, they need mediums through whom they can work. The mediums are the adepts at various stages of training and development at centers like the Casa de Vovó Rita throughout the country. The supernaturals, however, do not perform their charity through mediums selected at random. They only come to and work through selected individuals who devote themselves to their care. The many saints' sons and daughters are mediums being trained in the care of their specific spirits. When asked how he felt the first time he went into trance and received the spirit, José Carlos replied,
Foi na gira de Cosme Damião, onde eu tive a primeira vibração.
The first time I went into trance, and it doesn't happen all at once, was during the celebration of Cosme and Damien, 7 months after my first visit to the center. That was the first time he spun me around. Up to that time, I was conscious of everything and in control of my body. The first vibration was Jango, and I was no longer able to control my body. I wanted to stand up straight and dance, but I couldn't. I felt like I had goose flesh all over. I felt rhythms, like waves in my head. My heart was pounding. That was when Jango came. Only after I agreed to serve him did he go back up. That same night, Giramundo, the caboclo, also came. They were the first two, Jango and the caboclo. While I was in trance, I was told what was expected of me.
Agora, quanto ao transe, veio as obrigações, será comentado ainda.
Mediums, the intermediaries who link the world of the spirits with that of the living, go through a long period of training and development, during which time they are taught both by their saint mother, the head of their center, and by the spirits. This long period of training is punctuated by a number of what are called obrigações, literally obligations, or offerings, which are initiation rituals. José Carlos, like others who become devotees, made the first of these when he started to participate in the religious life of the Casa de Vovó Rita.
The first offering is made when you enter the center. That is, make a commitment to participate in the religious life. You put on the clothes and you make an offering to your guardian spirit and to Oxalá. This is only a small offering. Oxalá's favorite foods are prepared and offered to him, as are the favorite foods of the mother and father of your head, your primary guardian spirits. Also the food of your junto, your secondary guardian spirits, are offered. And an offering is made to the whole spiritual line of which they are a part. 3 years later, the second offering is made. It is the same as the first, but is expanded, more complete. After the 3-year offering comes the 7-year one, and then the 14-year one that begins the process of déca, the authorization to open a center. Finally, there is the 21-year obligation, or offering. This is the coming of age for anyone who wants to open his own center.
The schedule of the second offering being made 3 years after the first, with the third 7 years later, the fourth 7 years after that, and the fifth 21 years after the third, is approximate. In actual cases, the time can vary considerably. José Carlos made his second offering just 3 years after entering into the religious life of the Casa de Vovó Rita. At that time, he was rebaptized in his new faith.
Este foi o segundo passo. Foi o segundo.
The baptism was the second step. Well, it was really the first step in my initiation into the life of the Spirit. My baptism was the time I first raised my standard and declared myself. We had a celebration for Oxassi. Oxassi is always present in my life. That is why I am a great devotee of Oxassi. We held the ceremony here in the center. Then, at daybreak, we went to the waterfall at Coroa Grande, where we sang and gave our offerings to Oxassi. And then I was baptized. At the moment that we entered the water, where there were flowers, dark beer, champagne, and other things, at just that moment that the Orixá put his hand on my ori, my crown, to put on the water to baptize me, I heard a peal of thunder and saw a bolt of lightning cut the sky at the top of the waterfall, and it started to pour. The rain really came down, and there I was in the water, being baptized.
After his rebaptism, José Carlos continued his training and development as an Umbanda medium. In 1986, in another ceremony, a special caboclo was invoked to come to José Carlos to perform the charity of healing the sick. From then on, the young medium was able to invoke this special spirit whenever sick people came to him for help. Later in the same year, he was told by Dona Maria, who was given the information by the spirits through the buzios, that he was ready for his next obligation or offering. When asked how he felt about this, José Carlos said,
Foi uma coisa surpreendente, porque você chega.
It was a surprise. It catches you unaware. Someone comes and tells you that you're going to be the Zelador. that you are now ready to follow your path. For me, it was a great surprise. I never thought it would happen so suddenly. Even though I've been in the center for 8 years. 8 years here in the Casa de Vovojita. I had already made 2 offerings. It was something very beautiful for me, knowing that the spirits had shown their satisfaction with me, giving me a great responsibility for having a center, of continuing my journey, and of being able to help those who come here for help. It is good to know that we, or I, can help those who come in search of charity.
Ritual offerings or initiations in Umbanda, in a sense, are like examinations. The spirits, after telling the candidate he is ready, will test whether he has learned to be an able horse who can go into trance, receive his riders, and do what is wanted of him. But he must do this wearing the clothing and ritual beads in the colors appropriate to each entity. Furthermore, the initiate must show that he is able to prepare and serve the foods of his spirits. Only after performing satisfactorily during the initiation ritual will the medium be able to go on to the next plateau. To take the examination, the medium must make preparations that are both time-consuming and costly. Many devotees find that they must postpone their offerings after being told that they are ready because they do not have the money to purchase all that they need. This, of course, delays their progress and development. José Carlos provided us with a partial list that included 58 items he had to purchase for the ritual initiation you're about to see. Included were cloth to make the canopy and the garments of each of his spirit guides. Also included were 2 sets of buzios, a drum, beads to make the guias or necklaces, hats, helmets, capes, axes, a cane, and a headdress for the caboclo. Then there were flowers, candles, cigars, and alcoholic and other beverages. There was chalk to mark the ritual symbols on the basins, trays, and plates on which the goat, rabbit, guinea hen, chickens, and other animals to be sacrificed, and the vegetable foods and fruits with honey to be prepared would be served. Only after everything is ready can the ceremony begin. José Carlos spent the days just before the initiation racing frantically from one market to another and from one stall to another in the 100+ degree Fahrenheit heat of Brazilian summer. Although he had purchased many of the items early on with money he had earned working in a furniture store, the ceremony most probably would not have taken place had we not provided some last-minute financial assistance.
Correu tudo bem. Mas a segunda obrigação,
Yes, getting all the money gave me some anxious moments. My first offerings were made several years ago. I was working at the time and could afford the expenses involved. I also received some help from the other filios and filias, the sons and daughters at the center. Each one contributed what he could, but I was able to pay the greater part of it myself. I did the first initiation myself and everything went well. With the second, the 3-year offering, I had a small problem. I had left my job 3 months before. I had already received my severance pay. I had purchased most of my clothes and had already bought the ceramic ware I needed. I had it planned, but I was worried about the food offerings. There were many things still to be bought: the crowns, the headdresses, the symbols of power, the helmet. I was worried. Then the image of my godfather, Senor Sidney, came to my mind. He had been there earlier in the year and had visited the center. He had made it clear that if I needed anything, he wanted to help me, that I shouldn't be ashamed to ask him. So I did. When I ran out of money, I asked him. When he arrived on the 2nd of January, we began running around. We really ran all over town, and I was beside myself because there were so many things to do. and that is the time that you need the most concentration inside the terreiro. But if I didn't go buy the right things, who would?
Just prior to the initiation, José Carlos, with the help of Dona Maria, Edna, and Janete, had washed the altar with a combination of seawater that he had brought from the shore many miles away and herbs to get rid of any negative influences. Then in the late morning of Monday, January 5th, José Carlos' initiation ceremony began, as do most Umbanda rituals, with the purification by incense of the terreiro and of those in it. Following this, the terreiro was crossed. The center with water, water which has been on the altar and has been purified is thrown in crosses in all the corners of the terreiro. And then cleansed with water and with rose petals. Next, Ogum was asked for his protection on this special occasion. Following this, with José Carlos on bended knee before the altar, Dona Maria asked Oxalá to bless his son and for permission to open the session.
Oxalá, meu pai, tem pena de nós, tem dó. A boca do mundo é grande, teus poderes são maior. Oxalá, meu pai, tem pena de nós, tem dó. A boca do mundo é grande, teus poderes são maior. Oxalá, meu pai, tem pena de nós, tem dó.
The first ponto